Hello and welcome to Stretford Paddock. We are here today for the podcast. I'm joined by Alex and Omar. Where's Ciaran? He was just here.
I don't know, he was here.
Yeah,
he was here when you started it. Before you started the intro, he was here.
Ciaran, I'm
Now
bringing
he's
you
gone.
in. If this is
Is
an
he here?
awful dirty picture, then we deserve everything we get because I knew what I was doing when I clicked on the button. He's probably going to be shirtless or something. He likes to take his shirt off and do the Ronaldo.
He's not, though.
thing.
He's just not here. Just give me
He's not here. We'll leave that spinning thing there as a reminder of, or a sort of a foreshadowing of Ciaran's imminent invitation into the podcast. But how are you two doing, lads? Anyway, how are you doing, Omar?
Well, not too bad. Coping through everything that is going on.
Are you in some sort of like a Buddhist retreat somewhere? Is that a tent? Are you in a teepee? What's with the?
This is the back of my bedroom. It's a nice dark blue.
Lovely shade of
Have
purple.
you got an attic room? Why is there a
I've
sloping?
got an attic room. It's
Okay.
It's like a loft thing, you know. But the only downside to it is that you can hear the rain quite a lot. So,
Yeah, but if you were one of those Instagram girls, you'd like that, wouldn't you? When they're always like, I can't sleep without the sound of rain. I thought you were in I thought you were in a tent, a makeshift wigwam of sorts for a moment there. And Alex, how are you doing, mate?
I'm having a Lionel Blair with phones, to be honest, mate. It's just not.
Oh, yeah. We'll talk about that in a little bit, actually, because Alex is
Yeah.
on his third phone in a week, or is about to be on his third phone in a week.
Yes, I am.
And do you know what? And I'm here for you to convince me. But whenever someone breaks their phone and they're like, "Oh, I just broke," I always think you broke it. So you're gonna have to defend why this wasn't you.
I wish it was me. I wish I'd have dropped it or volleyed it or something, because then I can just go, "You're an idiot." But
Yeah.
it's just dying on me. And it's my second phone. This one's brand new, and it just died. Just died.
Ooh.
Restarted itself, and will keep restarting, and has done.
Tell says he said wigwam. I grew up in a wigwam. Really? You sure you don't mean Wigan? There are those people who grew up in Wigan. We're going to be talking about Thomas Partey. And even this is very breaking news, really, isn't it? Because even as recently as this morning, this story was nowhere to be seen. There wasn't much of a link between United and Thomas Partey. And then all of a sudden, we've got people saying that he loves the idea of Man United. He loves this link to Man United, despite it looking as though a deal may be done, or not done, but on the way to be done with Arsenal. First of all, let's get into the sort of quotes of this. And this is coming from a Ghanaian journalist, Sadiq Adams. And he said, yesterday, a source close to Thomas Partey told me that the player doesn't want to extend his stay at Atletico and is favouring a move to the Premiership, which is, by the way, I haven't heard anyone say Premiership in such a long time. I miss it being called the Premiership.
Better,
of course, the Premier League. Yeah, the Premiership is better. Yeah, because it's like this seafaring boat of a league rather than Premier League is just a bit like darts, isn't it? And that he loves the United link. I assume he means Manchester United, not Newcastle United. Deal could be even sooner. Deal could even be sooner than expected. What? Starting to believe in this whole thing. ... Now that is so much more of a sort of further down the line statement than we've seen even remotely. First of all, Omar, what do you think to Thomas Partey? What do you think to these links? Would you like him at United? Just give us a little bit about what you think about this whole thing.
I mean, Thomas Partey, I think loads of people on here have talked about him as being like one of the best defensive midfielders in the world, really. We saw that performance against Liverpool. The second leg was phenomenal. He kind of ran the midfield for Atletico when they did have the ball. I've always wanted Thomas Partey. I think he's a world-class midfielder. I think he's one of those, that missing link that we have, really. I mean, we've seen the rise of Fred, but I think if you brought in a Thomas Partey, you'd be taking that midfield to the next level. I mean, imagine a midfield with Thomas Partey sitting behind maybe Paul Pogba and Bruno. I mean, it's the stuff of dreams, really.
Oh, it's FIFA stuff, isn't it? It's FIFA 20 career mode stuff, that is.
It's proper.
What do you think, Alex?
I mean, I think he's a quality player. I think again, this is all going to depend on the Paul Pogba situation, the Jack Grealish situation, all that kind of stuff's all up in the air, because
they both sound like jazz bands, by the way.
Yeah,
ladies and gentlemen, the Paul Pogba situation.
So I don't really know, because I think if you've got Paul Pogba still there, I think obviously it'd be great to upgrade in that midfield, but I don't think that's our priority. I still think, I mean, Sancho's obviously number one. I think there's other areas as well, and I think he's obviously looking at a number 10 as well. That kind of someone that is another attacker can maybe fit. I think the Grealish one fits into 10. He could play out wide. He can play in a free role a bit more. I think Grealish kind of fits that. I'm not sure. So I don't know really what's going on with who he wants, because I think this is all kind of, if Pogba goes, then you're going to see maybe a couple of midfielders come in straight away. And I think that would then put Grealish towards top of the list, and then Partey as well. But I think that would, I mean, obviously, if Partey could come in, it'd be unbelievable. But I think there's going to be other people in for him. I think he could potentially move in Spain still, and even though they're linked to the Premiership, which is, as you said, the best way of saying it.
Yeah, Andy Gray still commentating.
Andy Gray still commentating. Yeah, I think it would be great. I think there's rumours that Arsenal still want him, but I think that we probably have the edge on them. But who knows at this point? Really.
You can imagine as well if Andy Gray was still commentating, as soon as he scored, and it's party time at Old Trafford today.
Yeah, I'd love it. He would love it.
He'd get that party link in there immediately, wouldn't he? Has Ciaran been furloughed? Hang on a sec. We can't get him in for no money. Get it?
Save them for
There he is in his prison cell.
Well, I could have.
Andy Dufresne in it behind that poster. There's a big hole in the wall that he's cooked out with a spoon.
I've just like Al going through his third phone of the week. I'm probably on the third house's Wi-Fi router at this stage now, so I'm slowly working.
Get your own Wi-Fi, for God's sake.
Slowly creeping my way through the.
He's stealing it from an 8-year-old 3G on an old Alcatel.
Yeah, he's got his name.
This room, now that you mention it, is a bit depressing. This is my room, by the way, and I have so much to decorate.
What is that?
What is
Why
that?
Is it just a patch of cardboard?
That's my wall of ideas. Now, as you can see, things have not been very.
What are your ideas? Are either very brown or very...
Well, I decided to put all the pins on. As you can see, my left hand. It's your left hand as well. That's about as far as I've got. And I've got the pins up, but I also had this pinned up for a while. Tickets from the Astana game, just to prove a real red I am.
Astonishing.
Yeah, so not really going well, the idea as well, but
it's a cardboard poster apparently, according to Lukewarm. Yeah, you don't see many of those these days, do you? The old cardboard poster. It's nice. It's good to see you, Ciaran. Anyway,
nice to see you. Nice as well.
Yeah. Let's get your opinion then. We've sort of gone around the houses a little bit. What do you think of this Thomas Partey link? First of all, have you seen the news?
Yes, I have seen the news. I've been kind of keeping track of it since I think Ornstein came out and said something last week about him going possibly to Arsenal as well. And then there was all that talk of apparently Atletico have doubled his wages, or at least offered to double his wages from 65 to 130k a week. And I've seen what you guys have talked about as well. The source close to him saying he would love to join United. Again, this is just kind of like Erling Haaland 2.0. His buyout clause is so low that at the end of the day, it's going to come down to the player and what he wants to do. And whether Champions League football will play a big factor in that, I don't know. You can't imagine it will if Arsenal are linked to him as much as we are. But, I went there.
Oh, shit.
Again, like Omar said, he's been one of the best in his position for a long time now. Has kind of been an unsung hero in that 4-4-2 of Simeone's. Again, 50 million, it's going to come down to him as well. I think Champions League football could be a big deciding factor, but I mean, wait and see.
Do you think, is there a chance, a couple of things. First of all, if, let's say this was it, 45 million is rumoured buyout clause.
45 to 50 is the figure I've seen.
Yeah, I've seen anywhere in there, which is, enough for the likes of Real Madrid, Barcelona, to sort of have an eye on him. And they're in a league where they'll have seen him play against them every, at least twice a season. Madrid tend to play them 4 or 5 times a season for whatever reason. Is it a surprise then that he could have been on this contract for, I think he's 2 or 3 years into this contract now, and not have made a move anyway? Is anyone else a little bit like, if he was that good, wouldn't he have already left?
It's kind of the Bruno thing where if he was that, everyone kind of said, well, why is no one else in? If he's that good, everyone would want him.
Yeah.
But obviously, and he is.
I think also as well, Alex, touching upon that, I mean, in regard to like the defensive midfield role, you get a lot of people that are underrated. You don't get many defensive midfielders that are often talked about a lot.
No.
I mean, you get like N'Golo Kante and stuff, but there's not really like a lot of hype around in terms of transfer rumours, the defensive midfielder position, I feel.
No.
And that may be one of the reasons why he's kind of gone unsung, really, because everybody could probably see his qualities as a player. I don't know what you guys think about it.
Sorry, Joe. Oh no, I was just going to say as well. It's also so hard to get players usually out of Atletico. You just look at Saul, who's on that 8-year contract running until back in 2016 or 17. So maybe people have been in for him, and it's kind of been a quick shut the door by Atletico. I mean, they let Griezmann go for what was it in the end, 105?
Ridiculous, that kind of
100 plus, which I think is I don't think Griezmann is worth that much personally.
Which was his buyout clause, though, wasn't it?
Buyout clause as well, and obviously Saul got this buyout clause at 80 million. Maybe just clubs have activated his release clause, and when it comes to it, they're just like, no, sorry, it's not happening.
And there is still something there with Real Madrid. Atletico won't sell to Real Madrid. There's so many players that have kind of used the Premier League a bit as a bounce to get to Real. Courtois being the most recent one, and De Gea was kind of that one that looked like that was how he was going to go. And I think probably Aguero, if Guardiola hadn't come in, would have probably gone down the same path kind of thing. I think that's kind of what, Atletico won't sell to Real Madrid, so these players tend to go elsewhere. There's only a couple they sell to Barcelona, really. They do tend to, if they do get rid of that player, he usually goes abroad. He never really goes to them too. That's what Atletico have been quite good at.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Is this the first real link we've had to Partey in this window?
It's the first one I've seen of any sort of merit, of any... Yeah. Even a lot of the ones that I have seen have been people reporting other people that didn't really even say that he was going there in the first place. People referencing, do you know when sometimes publications will draw up a list of like potential targets for United, and he's on there listed as like, oh, he's a great player, he's got this low buyout clause, but no one's ever actually saying we have reason to believe United are interested or that he wants to go to United until now, as far as I can see. And you do wonder as well, obviously, I am not particularly aware of Sadiq Adams' credentials or work as a journalist. He says he's a self-proclaimed award-winning sports journalist, specialising in African football, and he's from Ghana. And obviously Thomas Partey is from Ghana. Now, there are plenty of British newspapers reporting on British players that you wouldn't give the time of day to just because they're from the same country. But I suppose if we are to believe anyone from this, you would think someone from the same country who may well have a better chance of having sources close to Thomas Partey than, let's say, a British publication. So it's the first I've seen of it, but it does seem to maybe hold some sort of weight. And obviously, it seems like we're all interested in him. We were looking at Declan Rice earlier, who's also been linked with United today. Omar, do you think they're similar sort of players? Do you think they occupy the same role, but they're different kind of players? And who would you rather have of the two?
I mean, they're both similar in the sense that they both hold up that holding midfield position. Partey for Simeone. I mean, Declan Rice for David Moyes. But I think if you're going on all-round ability, I think there's more evidence to suggest that Thomas Partey is more of a world-class acquisition than Declan Rice. I mean, look at the age gap. I think Partey's about 26, isn't he? I think Declan Rice is about 19. So
Declan Rice is 21. Thomas Partey 21. Is
23.
26.
He's 26.
Yeah.
Wow.
26.
So I think with Declan Rice, if you brought him in, then he'd obviously be learning on the job. Whereas if you brought in someone like a Partey, you bring in someone who's got proven experience, who's got that Champions League experience. He probably has that drive to win and succeed as well. But it depends what you want to go for. I mean, we've seen recently United have been tending to go down towards the British route. But if for preference, I think a lot of fans would probably prefer Partey because he's the real deal at the moment. He's the finished article.
Yeah, I'm just not sure on Declan Rice in general. I mean, I think he's a good player, but I've just not. I don't think I've seen him stand out. And the fees that have been going around, that the 70 million fee that's gone around today for a player that's good and does a job and things like that is okay. But he's not looked and been like a stand out in that West Ham field. When he's played for England, he's not been great. I don't think he's been fantastic.
Do you think as well? There is something to be said for the fact that the word party is more appealing than the word rice. Because a party is ace and rice is just grains, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Like, I know it sounds silly, but if someone was called like Timmy Bum Bum, it would have to be so much better than someone that was called like Lance Steele for people to think they're a better player. And I think Thomas Partey is a great name, and Declan Rice is just a bit boring.
You could definitely create a better chant for Partey than Rice.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, party time, innit? Obviously.
Yeah.
Yomi Nelson is a new member here at Stretford Paddock. If you'd like to become a member, click the join button and you can click on the tier that you'd like. You get loads of extra content. We've got a new behind the scenes video coming out on Saturday for all members, so be sure to check that out. Thank you very much for joining, Yomi. Ciaran, then, what have you been up to? Because I haven't seen you in a little bit.
Well, Joe, like last time you saw me, I've evolved from the Tesco cider. I've kind of regressed, but I've gone for the little own brand lager now. Now, where many would think that would be a step back, I, however, think this is a step in the right direction.
Really? Hopscotch style?
6 bottles of Perlenbacher, which I think is as good as its, name. Perlenbacher for £4. You can't. You just be rude not to.
Have you got one on you now?
No, I went through them all, most of them yesterday morning as well. I haven't been down.
Yesterday morning, didn't even get to the afternoon before they were gone. No wonder you weren't in the team meeting.
I tell you what, though, I've been Netflixing it up. Did we mention The Last Dance last week on Netflix?
We'll talk about this episode in a little bit. We'll talk about it in a little bit.
Sorry, but it's a must-watch. My must-watch of the week.
Do you reckon we'd sign Thomas Perlenbacher, by the way? What a player he'd be.
Italian. Oh, no, he'd be German, wouldn't he?
He's
sort of a mixture between Pirlo and Beckenbauer.
Oh, what a player.
Jesus.
You can just imagine him having curly, like an 80s kind of, fro.
Yeah.
And mustache. like soon
unbelievably player.
Thomas Perlenbacher. What a guy. He sits deep. He'll go through you, but he can also play a delightful curling ball down the wing.
Born in Austria, but represents the German national. He's that good.
Love that. Really love that. What about you, Omar? Other than sitting in that TP that you live in, what have you been doing?
Probably the same as Ciaran, really. Drinking away. Not been doing
so one-dimensional, you lot.
I mean,
read a book for once.
I mean, what else is there to do? I mean, other than watch a bit of a TV. What else? What have I been watching on Netflix? I've been rewatching. Have you guys ever seen The People versus O.J. Simpson?
Yeah, very
very good, very, very good. I don't know how he got away with it, to be honest with you.
Hot take. Man suspects O.J. Simpson did the murder.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I've definitely become more of an alcoholic since this lockdown.
And beautifully put as well.
And Alex, then, since you've broken, and you have broken 2 phones in the last week, would you like to talk us through how this has happened, and tell us what phones they are as well? Because this ain't some sort of Motorola rocker that you've broken. This is top of the range.
iPhone X. No, I had it for like 15 months. It's nearly up for renewal as well. That's the
15 months. Why is it a baby? Just say a year, mate.
Yes, it's a baby. Here's my baby.
56 months old.
And for daft reasons, about 2 weeks ago, went for a run. Come home, phone died. Turned off, wouldn't turn back on again. Phoned up EE, said okay. Got insurance, sent me a new one. Brilliant. Had it for. And then I went for another run. Now this is coincidence. I don't know whether the.
Can I ask if you're running near some sort of localized EMP device?
Yeah, I've been running. There's this big 5G tower near me. That's where I run past. So I do laps around that. So that might have been it. But then it's now restarted every 2 minutes for the past 12 hours. So new phone is coming tomorrow morning, which is great, really. Apple tried to blame me. They said to me, did you back it up, or did you use it as like a backup, or start as a new phone? I went, well, I used the backup, so I have to. So, oh no, now what you might have done is you might have brought whatever broke the last phone into this phone by doing the back. I was like,
that sounds scary. That sounds like it's some sort of bacteria or something, doesn't it?
It does. So I don't know. New one's arriving tomorrow. We'll have a go at that one.
So wait, do you have to send the old one off, or can I have it?
No, they've got to give it back tomorrow. So a guy comes and it's like a bit of an exchange in the doorstep.
Oh, nice, lovely.
What have you been up to, Joe?
What have I been up to? Great question. I've got back into FIFA a little bit.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
Foot champs, anyone?
Yeah, I played Foot Champs at the weekend. Got to goal 2, which isn't bad for my
That's
return.
a good goal 2.
I'll take a goal 2.
Oh,
Who was leading your line?
Up front, I've got.
Here we go. This is
what's
what they
it
all
called?
played for.
No, I haven't spent any money this shit. I've got Lautaro Martinez. I've got Lozano foot birthday, and I've got Correa foot birthday as well.
Oh, bloody hell.
So there we go. I've been trying to do a bit of reading, which is easier said than done. I was reading Limmy's autobiography.
All right.
Oh, you love Limmy, don't you? You love watching him on
Twitch.
Well.
Yeah, I like Limmy. Yeah. But that's about it, really. Should we talk about some football? Or lack of football, as it may be in this case, as Ligue 1 and Ligue 2, French, seasons are to be cancelled after the French Prime Minister Edouard Philippe announced that no sporting events, even those behind closed doors, could take place before September. So this is following Ajax and the Dutch League. It seems as though PSG, we don't have word on whether they'll be scrapped or whether they'll be given the title, but the seasons are to be cancelled and no further games will be played. Does it feel at the moment as though the Premier League, do you know on Star Wars when they're in that trash compactor and the walls are coming in? Does it feel as though the Premier League is in there and all the other leagues in Europe are just sort of closing in on us and we're like trying to just get out without them to cancel it? It does feel a little bit like that, doesn't it?
Yeah, maybe the last ones to pretty much like stop. I think we were trying to keep it going for as long as possible, and we even played the Liverpool game got played on that Wednesday, so the clubs were still trying to get games played. It wasn't until like Arteta got, he contracted the virus that he went, right, now we have to stop it.
Yeah.
So I think it's probably going to be the opposite way around now. We're going to be the last ones to just call it a day and say, do you know what, we need to wait a bit here. We need to just not do this. And I mean, if the French league have done it, and that was quite a separate. I was looking at PSG with 12 points clear, 1 game in hand. They'd near enough won the league as well. Like, to them, they've scrapped it. The relegation was close as well. It's all the same. I think
Chris, in the comments they're saying that PSG have been given the title. Has anyone else seen that?
I haven't seen
they've
it.
not. I don't think they've come out and said anything about that, have they?
Just looking now.
Yeah.
Do you think though?
I don't think they can really.
I don't think it's been said on the BBC's website. It doesn't mention any case of PSG being given the title there.
Do you think though the Premier League would treat it in kind of like an elite way because they might think, we're getting so much money commercially from it, we have to resume stuff, because I don't know how much commercially like the French league and the Dutch league get, but do you think it's different with the Premier League maybe?
I think we definitely consider ourselves to be different. Britain generally has always sort of put itself on a pedestal a little bit above the rest of Europe, which I think often comes across as a bit arrogant. We always do stuff like that, don't we? With the Euro, with the EU, all this sort of stuff. We're always like, you do your thing and we'll take all the best bits from what you're doing, and if it doesn't work out for us, we'll leave. And it's kind of the same now. It's like, you all do that, but we'll deal with this differently. We've handled the coronavirus differently to a lot of countries in Europe anyway, with sort of pretty horrific results so far. But I think, I think the money's more, and we kind of see ourselves as this superior league. And I'm not saying I think that. I'm saying there is a general feel of like, let's get football back for the people, whereas they're like, football is the last thing that matters. Get rid of it. What do you think, Ciaran? Are you expecting Premier League to follow suit, or do you think we will see
void it all? Just void it all. That's what I say at this stage. Was it the Netherlands they canned their league last week, didn't they?
Yeah.
France are following suit.
Belgium did it the week before that.
Belgium did it as well. I mean, unless they can pull off this, what was it? Was it Steve Bruce who recommended it? I think it was that 5-week tournament. Finished the last few games over 5 weeks. I don't know logistically how that's going to happen, especially when you consider, they're talking about the pubs and restaurants not being open till Christmas. So I don't know how they're going to do that. I was only talking about it with a few of my mates, and I think a lot of people's stance is finishing this season in the Premier League should take precedent over next season. I don't know again how that's going to work once they finish the last few games. Do you wait another year till the following September to start? I don't know. I think probably for the logistics to work, they're probably just going to have to avoid it, like everyone else.
But it just seems as though go on.
Yeah, the weird bit of it all is like, so say the French league scrap it and start again. So who goes into the Champions League for them next year? Exactly. And then if England continue and Germany continue, is it our teams that qualified this year, and you've got the French teams from last year, you've got the Belgian league where it was I think they kind of scrapped it, and there was a team mathematically already won it and stuff like that. You know, what are they getting in it, and then we're not, or do they go back to last year's European?
I would guess they would freeze the UEFA coefficients. Would be my guess. That seems the only fair way to do it. But yeah,
every league's going to do something different, and the French have said today that there's going to be no professional sport until September, and Lyon and PSG are still in European competition. So, does that mean that if they try and play the European competition, does that mean that they're now forfeited and they're out? And then there's all,
or is it just the French league is separate to the UEFA, isn't it? But it's still being played.
Have to play a leg in Paris, don't they?
Well, do they?
Yeah.
Could it be played at a neutral ground? I don't know. That's the thing. We don't know, do we? You could play one leg at a neutral ground and one leg away. And I think European competitions are likely to be scrapped anyway, because I can't see how that could work.
Do you think because there was talk about the Bundesliga, the German league, restarting on, what was it, May the 9th, was it?
May 9th, yeah.
Do you think the Premier League then would be more inclined to go with the Bundesliga?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
We want anyone to be the sort of canary in the mine for us, don't we? If they do it first, and that doesn't just go to complete shit, we'll do that. I think we want the Premier League are looking for any excuse to get the football back. Yeah. And I think the only way we wouldn't is if literally every other major competition shuts down and voids the season. I think if there's even one other league that plays, we will do it that way rather than following the rest of the sort of 5 or 10 top leagues. We'll follow the one that did it rather than the 9 that didn't. But it's quite surprising because if you take away the news from Europe, it looks as though the news from Britain in the last few days has been talks of softening these social distancing measures, and rumours of groups of 10 that you're allowed to sort of mingle with would be the next stage. And then we're talking about the Premier League coming back on June the 8th and stuff like that. It seems as though we're going one way and most of Europe's going another way. It's just weird, isn't it?
I mean, it's weird because also as well, there was also talk about like potentially us resuming at like a certain day and like footballers like getting tested and stuff. But surely like football, I know we all love our football and stuff, but surely those tests should be going to the key workers and stuff. They should be getting priority. Oh, Kieran's gone. Compared to the footballers. I don't know what you guys think about that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in the same boat as that, because the only way I think Germany can get going, because they are so far ahead of people in terms of, I mean, their cases are very low and all this kind of stuff. I think they've dealt with it better than anyone. And
certainly in mainland Europe anyway.
Certainly, definitely in mainland Europe anyway. So they've kind of done that the best of most. So you can kind of see where they can get back to normal a bit quicker. But like you said, I mean, the whole point of the Premier League is that money's going to talk eventually and say if we can physically do it, they will do it. But then there is a huge moral question there where we haven't got anywhere near the testing for key workers, and that includes NHS staff and all that kind of thing, and people in care homes and all that kind of stuff. They haven't been tested, and now Premier League clubs, yes, they've got more money and they're going to buy them in and whatever, they can spend a lot of money on them. But for them to come in and do that would be crazy just to get that back going. I can kind of see if everyone got tested, and they'd met all them goals and then it's like starting to bleed into more the public getting it, then I can understand it. But
the problem is Britain's currently, I think, got one of the highest mortality rates of any country in the world from COVID, and that isn't because we die more easily or the care isn't as good. It's because our testing is so completely inept compared to almost everyone else in the country in the world. We've got an almost 10% death rate, which is far higher than the true death rate. But because we only test people who have got severe symptoms, 10% of those people don't make it. So like I said, the fact that we've got an almost 10% death rate, which isn't a true representation of the virus, it's a correlation based on how few tests we do in comparison to the rest of the world. Yeah, to then give 15, 20,000 tests to this sort of 5-week sort of mini tournament of which would be the Premier League seems, as much as I would like it, and hopefully they can find a way to do it, but it just seems irresponsible and completely, how is it fair that, like you said, care homes, people who are in severe sort of risk categories, people who are working in hospitals, people who are taking treatment in hospitals who don't even have symptoms at the moment, but you just never know whether you've got it until you've already spread it around, all that sort of stuff. The current situation in Britain is one of the worst in the world, despite how, again, this pedestal we seem to put ourselves on it for everything. And the idea that we would, let's get sport back. It's not like if we were dealing with it how Singapore or New Zealand or Germany or Japan or South Korea have dealt with it. You can sort of think, well, fair enough. We're handling it very well. We're using the models that we planned for pandemics 8 years ago. Whereas we put together a lot of the plans that other countries are following that we aren't able to follow because we've allowed, healthcare and we've allowed storage of facilities that we need for a pandemic like this to rot away and go out of date and stuff. And then now just get football back as fast as we can. It doesn't seem possible to me, and yet it does look likely, which is just ridiculous to me.
Yeah.
But as much as I would love it, when I saw the tweet the other day of they're hoping to come back on June the 8th, honestly, I filled up with just so much excitement, like a massive smile going across my face. It just felt amazing. But then you do just think, this isn't possible, is it?
No.
Colin Coupleditch, a new member. Hello, Colin. Great name.
Great.
Although it does sound like a marital plot in a graveyard. But you know what? There's nothing wrong with that necessarily. Colin Coupleditch, thank you for becoming a member. Ciaran, you left us there. What happened?
Just to get a simple charger, not even the internet's fault now. I once again failed to prepare, and like Keno said, I definitely prepared to fail.
Did you? What needed charging? Your phone or your laptop?
No, I've had to acquire someone's Mac because my laptop has to be identified by its dental records at this stage. It's that old. So I've been absolutely knitting off everyone in the house for their technology because I'm living in about 2010 with the crap in my room. Still got an iPhone 6 as well. So none of that XR shit that I'll get.
Works, Ciaran. So
yeah, your insurance probably costs more than my phone.
£4
on my laptop.
Matty Wig here saying BBC reporting that UEFA saying domestic leagues need to make a decision on their leagues by May 25th. That's still a month away though, isn't it?
Yeah.
And if they are talking about bringing it back on June the 8th, that's plenty of time. It would have to be people training before that anyway, so I'm sure that deadline will be met. But at least we finally have a sort of an end date as to when the speculation can go on till, which is nice. What's everyone got planned for the rest of the week then? Talk me through it because I've got some big plans, lads.
Well,
go on, Matt.
You start, kick us off.
I mean, what am I doing for the rest of the week? Doing the same thing, really. Just drinking, watching TV. I might though treat myself to a subscription to Disney Plus.
Oh, have you not done it yet?
Yeah, because I do like my Disney films.
Oh, I'll tell you what though, the novelty of Disney Plus kind of wears off quick. I don't know if anyone who's got it yet has agreed, but you've got loads of films that you haven't watched in years, and once you watch it, you're like, not really.
Have you got it, Ciaran?
I do have it. I've made my way through all the Pirates of the Caribbean films.
Oh,
my favorite. And I have been watching seasons of about 3 till 12 of The Simpsons because that period when like Conan O'Brien and all was writing it. I watched the softball one last night, which is elite tier.
That's the great.
Medically shave those sideburns. That's classic game material.
What about you, Alex?
Tomorrow I'll probably be setting up the new phone.
Nice.
That'll be tomorrow's day until it dies again, probably.
Yeah.
I'm actually doing a podcast for my golf club tomorrow as well. 21st century in the golf club.
When you say a podcast for a golf club, you mean the sort of the club house rather than like an actual just like a putter golf club?
Yeah, for the clubhouse. Yeah.
That
kind of clubhouse.
Like a member of the club. Yeah.
There's a few of us doing that, so we're doing that tomorrow just to get people engaged a bit in the golf club, considering we're still short. There's a few people asking when it's starting again in the comments. I don't know, but the PGA Tour's set to go on like June 9th, which is ridiculous because that's just bringing people together from all over the world. That's worse than football starting. I don't get how that's going to happen. I know that the sport's less contact, but it's just
that's like.
I mean, it's worse. I think. PGA Tour's worse than the Premier League for trying to do things for sponsors rather than anything else. So I think that's probably going to do the same kind of thing because like everything in Europe's cancelled. So, but no, that I don't know what else. Maybe a bit of running, but it's raining now, which is going to make things miserable, and that's about it.
It's meant to rain for the foreseeable future, isn't it?
Yeah, which is just
We had a lovely COVID heat wave for a while, and then that seems to have subsided. I'm moving house on Thursday.
Hey.
Absolutely can't wait. So I won't be doing any videos on Thursday, but on Friday, Late Night Live will be coming from a new location. Can you believe it? So I'm very excited for that.
No.
I'm going to MTV Cribs, except it's empty because I have to carry everything by hand from my old flat to my new flat. So that's going to be absolutely depressing.
You're going to have to Frost Exhibit out of cryo sleep because I don't think he's done anything since about 2000.
Yeah, where is Exhibit these days?
I'm pretty sure he just made his money and bounced, didn't he? Because Pimp My Ride. Oh, has anyone seen how bullshit? There was a car that was on Pimp My Ride basically years ago, and it went viral on Reddit because it was like sold at auction because no one wanted it, and it was interesting just to see because this van that they'd done up on Pimp My Ride had been sitting in this lot for 4 years, completely fucked, and these mechanics ripped it apart and were like, "What the fuck have these people done to this car?" Because they don't make the car better; they just add like a talk
TVs,
something like that.
The best one I ever saw was they put a hot tub in the back.
Yeah.
It's like if you just put the brakes on, you'll drown to death.
You might just have a sign that says "Mug me" in the car window.
Yeah, ridiculous.
Oh, mate.
Do you know the sad thing as well? Cribs. Do you know half the time they would rent houses for those people to show off as their own, and they weren't even the actual people's house.
Yeah, I've heard that. The Lewis Morte one.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
The Lewis Morte one is quality.
What happens?
It's just he turns up in a Corsa to start with because it's meant to be. They go from America where it's like people turn up in Ferraris showing up mansions, and he just turns up a pretty average. It's just a normal house. It's just like a plain house. There's nothing in there. It's absolutely quality.
This is where the magic happens. Just like the biscuit, like bourbons, custard creams. It. Oh, very exciting. Right, well, that's very good. Right, thank you to everyone for joining us at home. Thank you for Ciaran for joining us intermittently throughout that. Omar and Alex as well. We're going to be back tomorrow for the news, and we will have another debate coming up tomorrow afternoon, so make sure you check that one out as well. Thank you very much to everyone who joined at home, and especially to members who joined. If anyone would like to become a member, click the join button and then click through to the membership you would like, and you get extra content, extra videos, extra fun stuff, and you help out the channel as well. So if you want to do that, please do, and we'll see you tomorrow.